What's good, YouTube? This video is going to be about a relationship mistake that men and women both make far too often. Before I start, if you want email advice or you want to set up a one-on-one call, my Instagram DM is not a good place to meet me if I haven't spoken to you before. You got to go to girltalkwithguys.com and set up your one-on-one call or to set up your email advice. With that said, jumping right into this, listen, sometimes our partners aren't the problem. Our perspective is. We have to stop trying to perfect our partners. Too often I meet women who had a good man, a good relationship, a man who considered them, a man who gave them 80% of what they needed. And then they left him to go find the 20% of what they wanted. This is called the 80-20 rule. It happens a lot. A lot of times we get complacent and we get entitled to someone's best or the perfect version of a person because they're not giving us enough problems to keep our hands idle with. We have to stop thinking and we have to stop listening to people who suggest that we are settling because we're not getting 100% perfect relationships. This is foolishness. A person doesn't have to live with the result of the advice that they give you. So a lot of times they give you reckless advice. A lot of y'all friends will tell y'all that y'all don't need to settle, but they don't have to live with the result of that advice if you actually take it. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You can't settle for a good relationship. You can't settle for a good man. That's not settling. Settling is a woman chasing that 20% of amazing, getting cheated on, getting knocked upside the head, getting lied to, getting dismissed, getting neglected. Those women are settling. And you can do that with a top 10, top 5, top 1% man. A lot of women are settling for that mansion that they got. A lot of women are settling for that high value man that treats them like shit. You cannot settle for a good person who treats you well, who has most of your needs and some of your wants. Too often I meet women who have great relationships or good relationships, but somebody convinces them that good is not great enough. Good is not good enough. You have to have extraordinary. I don't want good. I want extraordinary. And these stupid ass romantic movies that people say that all the time with makes you feel like you're settling because you have a good partner who's good to you, who treats you good, who's a good person with good qualities. That's settling. That's not settling, right? Settling is you chasing the couple of things that you fetishize about a man and getting knocked over the head and taking on damage trying to acquire those things that you fetishize. That's settling. I talk to way too many women who enlist my help on getting their good man back when they didn't find extraordinary, right? We got to stop trying to require people to be superhuman. Everyone has flaws, including you. If you have a good man who works hard, who's considerate, who's loving, who's loyal, who's wise, who's smart, who you have great conversations with, stop trying to make him perfect. He's not always either going to do the dishes or be thoughtful or buy flowers or pick the restaurant. Like, he's not always going to be everything. You can't be everything to anyone. If you think of those things, maybe they're your gift and not his. Too often women and men require their partners to be them and to think exactly as they would think, do exactly as they would do. And then they critique them for not doing that. What's the point of being with someone if they're the same as you? If everything they do, operate, and say and function as is you? I want my woman to fill in my blanks. I want to fill in her blanks. I want us to come together and make a great team. I don't want her to be me. I don't want her to think as me. I don't expect of her myself. And that's what, for many of us, would make the perfect partner. The partner that we didn't have to tell anything to. We never had to tell them to do this. We never had to remind them to do this. We never had to ask them to do this. They already thought about it. They already read our mind. On top of being perfect in these other ways, and on top of having the qualities that they naturally have that help us. If you focus on the things that your partner doesn't do and the things that your partner isn't, more often than you appreciate and you ponder and you meditate on who they are and the great things that they provide for your relationship, you will find yourself disenchanted. But that's not a matter of your partner's problem. That's your partner. Your perspective is skewed. You have a toxic perspective. You're focusing on the negative, the speck on the floor, instead of the rest of the clean house. Anytime you focus on the negative and ignore the positive, the room darkens. That's a relationship, that's family dynamics, that's a job, that's school, that's whatever problem you encounter. If you focus only on the negative, it will become negative in your mind. You can program yourself against a very good thing by just focusing on the negative. So I just want to remind you, ladies, I've talked to hundreds of women who have ruined their relationships just focusing on the negative, that a guy wasn't thoughtful or romantic enough, that a guy didn't have enough money or as much money as someone else. And they go chase those other things that they didn't get from that one person who actually had 80% of the skill set necessary to bring them fulfillment. And when they find these other things that they fetishize or that they focused on, most of the time their other needs are missing. More needs are missing than once at that point. And they try to figure out how to get their man back, and they enlist my help. Let's just start focusing on the positive. Stop trying to build perfect partners and appreciate our partners. And be the change you wish to see in your relationship. Sometimes what we want to see in our relationship is more our skill set, our gift, and not our partners. We have to give our partners room to be imperfect, room to be flawed, as they have given us. Be thankful for what you have and stop looking for everything that you don't have in a person. You'll always be disenchanted that way. Too many of us have ruined marriages, relationships, jobs, because we can't focus on anything but what we don't like. We can't appreciate everything else that we've learned to take for granted because things are that solid in those other areas. We forget what a person brings to us when we don't have to worry about those things. A lot of you are still trying to replace the boyfriend that you left 7 years ago. At the time, you didn't realize that this was a rare opportunity. But after being bounced around, after being used, after being lied to, after years on the streets, you've realized that that man that you took for granted, that man that was actually a very good person that you thought you were settling for, was probably your best shot at love, or at least for the last 7 years. I'm not saying that you won't find anyone better. I'm not saying that you can't find anyone better, but we have to stop letting our eyes wander, and we have to stop assuming that someone's not good enough because they aren't perfect. It's a matter of perspective. Try to stay positive about your partner if your partner's being good to you. Stop thinking about if you're settling or not. That idea in and of itself sometimes can be very toxic and very incorrect. Being single isn't actually bad. Some people are single for their whole lives or most of their lives, or they stop dating for a while and stay single after that. And that's okay if that's what they wanted for themselves. That's not settling if that's what they chose out of peace and contentment. But a lot of us are single because we are scared. A lot of us are single because we have given up. A lot of us are single because we messed up the opportunities, or we squandered the opportunities that we had at healthy love, looking for extraordinary love. We need to cut that shit out. Stop romanticizing relationships. Relationships are hard. Relationships are challenging. Relationships are imperfect. They're difficult. What we bring to our relationship is usually what we get out of our relationship if we've chosen the right partner. Be the change you wish to see in your relationship. Groom your relationship. Water your relationship. Communicate and comprehend in your relationship. Grow and evolve and change together in your relationship to make your relationships better. Don't just look to shit that doesn't exist in your relationship. Not try to put those things into your relationship, or find value in things that just don't exist inside your partner and look at that alone. At least judge your partner in totality before you make a decision to either end a relationship or start to look at your relationship in a negative light. Now, again, context matters. I'm not speaking about women in abusive relationships. I'm speaking about women in good relationships who want extraordinary relationships and are about to ruin their relationships because they're ungrateful. Men too, if you're watching. Anyway, follow me at KFake24 on Instagram. I'll get with y'all later.